Yo, what's going on? Today, we're gonna hit up this video. We're doing a little 3.17 changes you need to know going to 3.18. This is a content guide I've been working on for quite a while, so we have a PowerPoint. We're switching back and forth between this and the game, going over some of the changes. Basically, this is a catch up for everybody who didn't play 3.17, only played it for a week because of Lost Ark, or only played it for a couple weeks because of Elden Ring. This is your catch up, everything you need to know that changed in 3.17, that's still in 3.18, and it's still really, really important. So before we jump into there, if you like this helps you out at all, remember to hit like, follow, subscribe. It means a lot to me, and check out my Twitch down below. We'll be streaming League Start content pretty soon here, and let's just jump into this. There's a lot to go over, so I'm going to try to do this really quickly, and try not to miss some important stuff, but if there are any questions, leave them down below, and we'll get into it. Number 1, new Atlas. So this is the biggest change. We got rid of the quadrant system. Excellent, good job. We have one mostly linear path. I'll talk about why this isn't entirely linear in a second here. And it's really, really important to watch which maps are connected to the one you're running for map drops. And Atlas's prioritization is even more important than before, just because of the new Atlas passive tree. But let's jump into the map. So this is the new map. As you can see, this is my fully finished out map. I have nearly everything completed. Let's talk about the stuff at the beginning. So I'm going to remove all my void stones. These are the replacement for watch stones. We'll go over in a second. This is your basic map. As you can see, so tier 1, kind of these 4 maps along the sides, and they go all the way to the top where we have our tier 15s, 16s, in the corners. Okay, cool. So that's your basic map. I think what's really important here is that you can see it goes kind of like in a circle. It's not just straight up. It's not just straight to the sides. It's kind of a circle, and it's really important to keep by which maps are connected as they drop more commonly. So you can get into a situation where you're progressing your Atlas and you just start going up, and you're like got this whole side finished, and this side's still sitting down at the bottom because they're not connected. You're not dropping these maps. It's really important to kind of like, okay, do your tier 1s, you kind of want to circle out like that all the way up to the top, just for efficiency. There's no problem going straight up. You're just gonna have to go back and do lower tier stuff later. I don't like doing that, so that's my thoughts there. Let's jump back here. Really important, yeah. So the map drops, and we'll just jump into the Atlas passive tree, as these kind of go hand in hand, and why that connected map drop is so important. So the Atlas passive tree, we got a whole new skill tree to work with. It's super fun. Costs orbs of regrets to undo this, so it's orbs of regrets, yeah, to undo this. So actually, it's orbs of unmaking. You need 2 orbs of regrets. So still not a huge cost. It's pretty much free to undo this and do new stuff. Simple advice though: prioritize nodes or map drop early. It's pretty easy to do. I'll go over the skeleton build for that. After that, explore, but make sure to fully commit to strategy. If you do like half of this strategy on a map, or it usually isn't going very well, you want to fully commit to get the most out of it. As I mentioned, save orbs of regret to respec. 2 orbs of regret make an orb of unmaking. And then there's more Atlas points than there are maps, so completing Maven invites also rewards Atlas points. And the most important thing with the Atlas passive tree, before we jump into looking at it, is just have fun with it. This is a really cool addition to the game, and I've really had a lot of fun just playing with a new tree and sorting stuff out, see what we can put on maps. So let's talk about this passive tree. So what's really important when you're first starting mapping is these travel nodes. 2% chance for an additional connected map to drop from map plus. This is going to be your map sustain, and this is why I said it's really important to remember which maps are connected, because they're going to drop more common when they're connected just by using travel nodes on this tree. So we jump back here, you see, yeah, you'll never get to this side if you just start going up to this side. It's going to be way less likely, and you can get your map really out of skew. And it's just annoying. It's not game breaking. It's not as bad as if you screwed up like your quadrant jumping, but it's still annoying. So we got that, and then what was found to be like the optimal beginning mapping strategy was just go like straight up these nodes. You can grab a couple like the essences or areas getting strong boxes along the way. But just go straight up, basically make like a little person here. Grab these little circles. These ones right here are big. So you kind of do the same on both sides. You go straight up, down to the side, grab these circles. These are big. The maps have 5% chance to be 1 tier higher, 5% chance to be 1 tier higher, 15% chance to be 1 tier higher. So each one of these is 20. This whole wheel is 25% chance to be 1 tier higher, and same on this side. Okay, cool. So you do that, and then I think from there, if you're looking for quickest possible map completion, you have two options. You can go straight up through the middle. These are going to be your Kirak crafting options. No more Zana. It's going to be Kirak. So Kirak can let you reroll maps. We'll go over that in a second. And this node lets you gain one additional Kirak mission each day and 3% chance to grant an additional Kirak. This can be helpful for map completion, but not completely necessary. Your other option is probably go up to one of the sides and get to these nodes up here as quickly as possible. This wheel in the middle is extremely important. This is another spot where you can add chance to be 1 tier higher. If you get this entire wheel, and this entire wheel, you will have 100% chance for a map to drop 1 tier higher. Which is very, very good early. Helps with your Atlas progression immensely. So, that's my recommendation. You can go through the middle, go through the side, but you want to get this wheel, and this wheel as quickly as possible just to start your mapping and keep your sustain up. Okay. So that is your Atlas passive tree. I'm not going to go into the whole details of it. There's tons of videos, people out there, and it really depends what you want to do. If you want to do Expedition, you grab all the Expedition wheels. If you want to do Breach, you can do all the Breach wheels. But your first priority is getting all of your bonus objectives done so you can get those Atlas passive points. Alright, 2.5. Other map stuff. So Kirak. Replace Zana, rerolls map at the map device, sells new maps every time you run a Kirak mission. Okay. So, Kirak's over here. Just, you can go purchase items from Orbs I'm making. I said two for regrets. And maps. This is basically Zana. On your map device, this is where Kirak's a little different. He adds this new section here, Kirak Mission. So you click on this, and he just gives you a list of maps to choose from. This is the same as when you found Zana on the map. You just won't find Kirak on the map. You'll do it here. The big thing to note on these is that these will count for Atlas completion, but they will not use your Atlas passive tree. So all the stuff that you've put into your Atlas passive tree, all those nodes, those will not affect these missions at all. Extremely important to remember that, because you'll like see something on the bottom. You'll be like, oh, Abyss, I have all the Abyss nodes. My Abyss is gonna be really strong. This is what I should do. No, it's just a normal map. The good thing about this is these do count for Atlas completion, but pretty much after that, they're not super great unless you can roll like a really good unique map like Cortex or something. So, the last thing with Kirak is these scouting reports will drop. These kind of let you re-roll Kirak missions for free. But they can have special effects, like the singular scouting report includes one unique map. Explorers tries to use uncompleted maps. This can really help for Atlas completion early on. Val's all corrupted maps. Influence gives you these are really strong early. Gives you Guardian, Elder, or Elder Slayer maps. So really good. That's Kirak in a nutshell. Not super useful after the first weekish of the map, especially not useful after map completion, just because you don't need the new maps anymore and they don't use your passive tree. Okay. Sextants. There's a change to Sextants. They now only use Awakened and Elevated. And then there's Charged Compasses, which allow you to capture Sextants. So, see here, I don't have any of Elevated, I haven't been using them. But Awakened Sextants are going to be your normal drop. They drop quite often. You'll see they modify a Void Stone. So there's no more Watch Stones, we have Void Stones. Which I mentioned here. So these Watch Stones, each Void Stone has a 25%, as an implicit, has a 25% increased map drop for each Void Stone. So if you have all four, and you have 100% increased map drop with 4 Void Stones placed. The first 2 Void Stones are really easy and quick to obtain. They're obtained from slaying the new Eldritch bosses the first time. There's a story progression system in there. Basically around when you're doing like T14 maps, these will be completed. And the other 2 are obtained from doing Uber Elder and Maven. These are more time consuming, might take you a little bit longer, but definitely worth. So I'm going to jump back to my tree again. Here are my Void Stones. I'm going to socket all of them. And you'll see that when I socket all of these, every map becomes a T16. This is kind of big. It lets you run any map you want at a T16. We have our new favoriting system. You can choose up to 12 maps to favorite as you unlock them. I did unlock Feared. Never dropped for me. Didn't really care. But you can use favorite a map, you can favorite the same one 12 times, and I think it's like 10% increased chance per node, so you end up like 120% if you increase the same. You can split it up. I know there was a strategy where people just like ping pong off of 2 maps for bossing, and they just keep them split. So keep that in mind. Void stones, super good. These are not tradable, unlike watch stones. So there has to be a solution, because you used to be able to trade watch stones because they would do certain things to maps after they had sex and supplied. So now what we can do is actually use a charged compass, or surveyor's compass. So you take a surveyor's compass, bring up my map, I say areas inhabited by invasions. I really want to capture this. I already used it a couple times, but I really want to capture this, and I want to use it later. I can take my surveyor's compass, right click, boom. Now with the charge compass, it still has 2 uses remaining. I can reapply this by right clicking, just put it on a void stone. You put it back on. What's really nice is now you can just trade that charge compass instead of trading your void stones. You just trade the modifiers. So really huge change, a huge quality of life change for this, and it's been really, really nice. Okay. Section 3, new Eldritch bosses and map mechanics. So we have the Syrian Exarch and Eater of the Worlds as the new pinnacle bosses, I guess we'll call them. The quest lines start during map progression. As I mentioned earlier, you unlock your first 2 void stones by doing these like quest lines. Pretty simple. Just put choice between these 2 and Maven on each map. It's kind of big, so no longer is it just click the Maven button and never touch it again for us to League like I used to do. You actually have to make a decision each map. Do you want Maven to witness it? Do you want the Syrian Exarch to witness, or do you want Eater of Worlds to witness? And what you're doing at the particular time will depend what you want to have here. So both Syrian Exarch and Eater of Worlds kind of have the same idea. They put on altars that modify packs, bosses, and players, but you get the choice. It's usually a negative. It's usually a negative and a positive, so you'll get greater rewards, but it'll be more difficult. Some of these can be build breaking, so very, very careful to read some of these altars that appear. But you can get some really, really good drops. For example, 3.17. Scarabs dropped off these quite often, so you could self-sustain scarabs at points. It was really, really great. Boss invites spawn every 14th and 28th map for minor and mid-major bosses respectively. So, what does that look like? Let's jump back into the game. You'll see these 2 new circles here. Each one of these is Syrian Exarch, one is Eater of the Worlds. So you defeat tier 14 plus Eater of the Worlds monsters to advance your pursuit, defeat the map boss of the 14th and 28th to receive an invitation. At the 14th, you receive the minor boss, and 28th you'll receive the Eater of the Worlds. Same thing on the Syrian Exarch. You'll see Syrian Exarch at 28, and I believe Black Star at 14th. So the major ones are usually pretty expensive, especially early league start. This is where some of the new items that we'll get into drop, and they're really, really nice. Maven is basically unchanged, other than you get this nice, tells you your map progression, basically, where you're at for every single Maven invite. But Maven's basically unchanged, other than some new Atlas stuff. Okay. On to the next. We're going to talk about some of the new uniques that are dropped, because they're very important, with no changes in 3.18 to balance and player balance. We need to talk about some of the build-defining items. Crystallized Omniscience and Ashes of the Stars drop from the new bosses, the Syrian Exarch and Eater of Worlds. Crystallized Omniscience has made elemental builds a lot stronger and brought some new elemental builds to light. Basically, you try to stack any type of attribute, all the attributes, and you get plus elemental resistance, plus elemental penetration, and you basically don't have to worry about attributes. You don't have to worry about resistances. You just worry about attributes. You'll see a lot of league starters, I think, probably use Omniscience. One of the most popular builds last league was the Omniscience Tornado Shot build. Wasn't really a build before Omniscience. So, Lightning Strike uses Omniscience sometimes. There's a lot of Omniscience builds that'll be running around. The second new amulet is the Ashes of the Stars. Really, really nice. The I think the quality to all skill gems is really overlooked because this counts for alt quality gems too, so basically you can get up to like 50% alt quality gems. I like to put it in here and mention it because that's kind of build defining and makes new builds possible. So these are really important drops. If they roll really well, they can be very valuable. So let's keep that in mind. Other new items that drop from Syrian Exarch and Eater of the Worlds are Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. These work in tandem. They do nothing if you don't have the corresponding one with the same stuff. You see allocates a random ascendancy notable if you have the matching modifiers on Forbidden Flame, and same for Forbidden Flesh. These drop corrupted, so they cannot be changed with Divine Orbs. And what this allows you to do is you can get another ascendancy notable on a class. And what's important here is that it's on a class, not an ascendancy. So you see these are required class. So let's say, for example, a Raider can have a Deadeye notable by socketing 2 of these, or anything like that. So these are really, really strong, and they only drop from those bosses. And there will be new ones in 3.18 from the new Pinnacle bosses that are notables that you can't find anywhere else in the game. Okay. That is most of what we're talking about here. Last thing we're going to do some of the minor changes. So prophecies have been removed. They weren't really missed. I didn't notice that they weren't there. Was just kind of nice that I didn't have to pick them up anymore, or didn't have to think about picking them up at all. There's buffs to spell casting and bow builds, so we saw a lot of like people try self casting. Bow builds were really popular in 3.17. I suspect that will go down in 3.18 just because it's not new anymore. There were some good ones, but I don't think they were good enough to stand out to be played again for a second league in a row. And probably the biggest thing was that marks don't unapply anymore. So they got rid of applying marks from rings and any other sources. The only way you are able to auto-apply a mark now is by using the new mark on hit support gem. It's really nice that they don't unapply. Mark on hit support gem is really good, but the mana multiplier is pretty high, so it's kind of got to watch out a little bit. But just change the way marks work. Be aware of it if you're going to use a build that uses a mark. So that's all I got for 3.17 changes that need to be known if you didn't play and are playing in 3.8. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Remember to hit like, follow, subscribe for more Sentinel content, and check out my Twitch stream down below, twitch.tv/works. And thanks for watching. Bye.